Hey y'all, welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're a returning family member. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing y'all how I made these apple-filled strudels. Y'all, when I tell you they came out amazing. So if you would like to see how I made this delicious treat, then keep watching. Alright family, so these are all the ingredients I'm using today to make these apple strudels. And now you can take a screenshot, but however I will make sure I list them in the description box. And I'm going to be talking about them throughout the video along with the measurements. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, family, so I don't have a name for these apples. They were actually gifted to me from someone who went apple picking, but feel free to use any type of apples that you want, and I ended up only using 6 of these instead of 8. Okay, so now using this peeler, I'm going to remove the skin, and if you don't have one of these, just use a knife, but just try to cut close to the skin as possible without, throwing away apple. And so now I'm just kind of fast forwarding through this process. And so now using my knife, what I'm doing is I'm cutting around my apple, because what I'm going to do is now remove the core. And so this is what you see me doing. Okay, so now this is how they look once I finish dicing them up to bite-sized pieces. So again, as I mentioned earlier, I ended up only using 6 of the apples because I realized for my household, I really didn't need a whole lot of mixture. So now that that's done, I'm now adding 1 cup of this granulated sugar. If you hear some noise in the background, I apologize. This is like my 3rd time doing this voiceover. But anyway, now I'm following up with 1 cup of packed brown sugar. And using my spoon, I'm just now mixing everything in to incorporate that mixture of, apples. Make sure my apples are completely covered with my sugar. And so now what I'm going to do is allow this to sit for, I ended up letting it sit for like 8 minutes. And then what this is going to do is the apples are going to end up sweating, and the juice from the apples will combine with the sugar, and it's going to make like this nice little syrup. And then once that's done, we'll pop back in and put this on the stove and begin cooking. Okay, so after sitting for 8 minutes, this is how it looks. You see the juice? Okay. So now we're going to turn the stove on a medium-high heat. Okay, it's medium to high heat. Now, to this pot, I'm going to add, this is half a teaspoon of ground allspice, and then I have 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Okay. Then in here I have the juice of 1 lemon. And then I'm adding a pinch of salt. Okay, the pinch of salt. And then we're just going to stir. Okay, y'all, so in this bowl I have 3 tablespoons of water and 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. And by adding this to my mixture, what this is going to do is going to allow the juice to become nice and thick, and that's what you want. Your custard, your filling, to have a nice thickness to it. So I'm just going to mix this in really well and then just allow this to simmer on the stove for about 10 minutes. Okay, so it is done. This is how it looks. So when you, okay, so that's how you want it to look, right? Okay, so now that the filling is done, what I'm doing is transferring it to this bowl, and I'm going to allow this to sit until it cools down to room temperature before I start to fill my pie crust. And then I tasted it, and oh my goodness, it tastes so good. I mean, you have a hint of lemon, and then adding the salt to it, it balances out the the sweetness. It kind of tones it down where you don't have an overpowering of sugar taste in your mouth. And you'll look at the glaze on this. It's just so delicious. And this can also serve as a topper for your breakfast, if you have pancakes or waffles. And that's what I actually ended up doing later on. We're going to go ahead and get started with the coating for our apple strudels, starting with half a cup of this granulated sugar, white sugar. Then I'm following up with a tablespoon and a half of ground cinnamon. And then in this container, it's like a pinch of nutmeg. If you have fresh nutmeg, you want to grate it and add it to it. That's fine as well. And then the last thing I'm adding is about half a teaspoon of this is some cinnamon sugar. All right. So once I get all that in the pan, then I'll just go in and just mix it up, real thorough. And as I said, this is what we're going to be using. So once we take our strudels out of the pan from that delicious crispy frying, this is what we're going to toss them in, to make sure that they're nice and coated. But look at that pretty brownish, y'all. Okay, so the crust that we're using today is the Pillsbury Pie crust, and as you can see, you get 2 individually wrapped packets in the box. And so now I'm removing the first crust, and what I'm going to do is once I get it out of the packet, I'm going to gently begin to unravel it. And you want to take your time because you don't want to rip your dough, get holes all through it. And so this is how it looks, nice and pretty, really, really easy to work with. So again, you see me unrolling it. So make sure you flatten it out on your board really good. And then I'm going to also do the same with the second layer and place that on top. And so now I want a rectangular shape to my pastry. So therefore I'm going in and I'm removing the edges. And now this is optional. However you want yours shaped, it could be like hearts, stars, whatever you like, cut it to your liking. And so now I'm just figuring out how many rows that I want. So I decided to go 3 across. And then I'm going to turn my cutting board around and then do like 4 additional rows going over. If that makes sense, but you'll see. And so again, I'm just going down and I'm just cutting it. And then once I'm done, I'll have 2 layers, your top and your bottom. Okay, so now in my bowl, I'm adding my egg, and I'm going to also add a teaspoon of water, and then I'm just going to beat this. And then what this is going to serve as is going to be my it's my egg wash, and it's going to help the top and the bottom layer stick together once we add our filling, and you will see that process in the clip to come. Okay, so now with the egg wash and my brush, what we're going to do is create a border around each one. Okay, and you want to just do just a small amount, not too much. Okay, so now that we have each layer coated, we're going to begin to add our pie filling. And so using my teaspoon, I'm just going to grab a small amount, and then you want to make sure you place it directly in the center, and you want to keep it in the center as close as possible. Reason being is that when you go to add your top layer and you seal it, you don't want any filling oozing out in your grease when you begin your frying process. And so I'm just going to continue on. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to cover. Okay. Okay, so now using your fork, or you can even use your hands, as you're going to see later on I ended up doing. But in any case, you just want to go around the perimeter of each one. And now you want to pinch the bottom layer and the top layer together. Okay, family. So I thought I was recording on this part, but as it turns out, I wasn't. So basically, you're going to allow your vegetable oil to heat to at least 360 degrees. You want it really hot. Then you want to add in your turnovers, your strudels, and allow them to cook for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes per side, or until they're golden brown. And then you're going to flip them over, and the same process, allow them to cook about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so that first batch is done, and you're going to get to see me add in the second batch, since the that portion of the clip was cut out. My apologies. And so now when you take them out, this is how they look, nice and golden brown. And as you can see, that one did a little separation, but it was no problem because I didn't lose any of my filling. So now I'm going back in with the second batch, and you're just going to gently lower them inside your grease, and then just continue the process. And again, this is just a sneak peek of, how they look. They came out really, really delicious, golden brown. Okay, so now what I like to do is at least 30 seconds to a minute after I take them out of the pan, and allow just a small amount of the grease to drain out before they completely dry. You want to add them into your sugar mixture, because this is going to help the your sugar coating stick to your pastries. And so that's what you see me doing. I'm just going in and I'm doing everything in my power. I'm shaking it, I'm tossing them, I'm flipping them. Do whatever you need to do in order to, like I said, get this coating to stick to your pastries. And so as you can see how it's sticking, you're editing this video and looking back, my mouth is watering. Woo! Yeah, so that's how that looks. So I'm just going to continue the process with the rest of them. Okay. So there they are. Okay. Nice and pretty. Look at that. Okay. Alrighty, y'all. So I have my chocolate chip ice cream in the bowl. Comment below what's your favorite ice cream. And so now I'm just adding a couple of pieces of this apple strudel. Oh my God. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. I know your mouth, it's got to be watering. And so now I'm going to do a little taste on the camera. I wish I could have heard the crunch in this when I cut into it. Oh my goodness, so crispy. And y'all, let me grab a piece so y'all can see that apple filling. Oh, this filling tastes amazing. And as I mentioned earlier, this filling, I have some left over that I ended up storing in a jar that I can use it later on top of my pancakes or my waffles. But yeah, this is how it looks, y'all. Yes, look at that. Delicious, delicious. So family, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, comment below, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Bye.